Michael, that still remains in place, though, the 2-week quarantine here in the UK when you return from overseas. How do you think that's going to impact?
Unless you're French or Irish or work in the medical services, the 2-week quarantine is a joke.
So where does that leave Sunseekers? I know that you're well and truly up to speed with how the consumer feels about travelling and what they will and won't trade off. How do you think that's going to impact demand over July and August, the rest of the key summer period?
It's hard to know, Karen, with any great certainty. But I mean, our best guess is that we think, particularly lots of people in Northern Europe and Ireland and the UK, will still go to Spain, Portugal on family holidays. They will go to the beaches. There are very low incidences, have been very low incidences of COVID in those areas. Mostly in Spain, it's concentrated around the main cities, Barcelona and Madrid. We do think families will still go on the summer holidays once the school holidays come around. But we're at best, we think we're talking about 50% of our normal traffic in the months of July, August, September. And then maybe, hopefully, a return to some degree of normality from September, October onwards as the schools go back. But none of us know. None of us are really all that certain. I think what's likely is that, as the restrictions ease or lose all credibility, such as the 14-day lockdown, I think you will see people returning in quite quick numbers, but mainly on the back of deep price discounting, both for the airfares and also for the hotel and holiday accommodation packages.
Mike, good morning to you. I too am looking to see if I can still have my summer holiday. But look, just in terms of this 14-day quarantine thing, again, one more time, are you in dialogue with the government about the longevity of it as well? Because they seem pretty determined that it's going to go ahead and hauliers get their exception, but everyone else has to lump it as well. How long do you think the industry can last with those kind of restrictions in place?
I don't think the industry can last very long. The industry won't go back flying with those kind of restrictions in place. And the problem, yes, we're in dialogue with government, but government have no idea what they're talking about. You ask senior government ministers in the UK to define what the 14-day isolation period will be. They can't. They say it's based on science, but then can't explain why you're exempting the Irish and the French. They say, where do you isolate yourself for 14 days? If you isolate in a house where you remember the health service is already resident, do they have to isolate as well? Oh, we're not sure. They are making this stuff up as they go along. And the reality is, face masks, as have been demonstrated in Asia, if both a COVID sufferer and a non-COVID sufferer are both wearing face masks, you reduce the likelihood of transmission by 98.5%. The way to get economies back moving here now, we're only talking about going back flying on the 1st of July, so we still have another 5 or 6 weeks of ease down restrictions. But we think things that have no medical basis, like a 14-day isolation which exempts the French, or lorry drivers or health service workers, have no reality. I think people will largely ignore it. But remember, most people going on holidays in July and August are going to Spain for 2 weeks, are going to Portugal for 2 weeks. You look at the numbers in Portugal. The Algarve, there's almost no COVID. It's been mostly concentrated around Lisbon and Porto. And I think in another 5 or 6 weeks' time, people will simply have given up on some of this ludicrous government, nonsensical government advice like an ill-defined 14-day isolation. But the critical thing is, I think they will travel. They will travel with face masks. It will be a different experience. Our crews and our passengers will be wearing face masks. But I think confidence will restore pretty quickly. And then numbers will be stimulated by very low-cost airfares and low-cost hotel and hotel and accommodation prices.